Did you know that there are 3 different types of approval letters for a mortgage going through the home buying process? And honestly, I'm telling you this because number one, the first one will tell people that you're not even remotely serious about purchasing a property. The second one is really the gold standard, and the third one allows you to actually compete with cash. Now, the reason that I bring this up is both it's important for buyers and sellers. If you're a buyer, obviously your ability to compete with other buyers out in the marketplace is huge, and the loan process is an enormous part of that. Now, on the flip side, for sellers, you understanding, or at least your agent understanding, the different types of approvals will dramatically affect offers, and I'll explain why in a little bit here. So let's break down what the 3 different types of approvals really are. The first one, and I'm going to go in order of worst to best. The first one is a pre-qualification. Now, this is where it is a verbal conversation with the lender. The buyer has not filled out a loan application. They haven't submitted any documents. They haven't really done anything, frankly. And the lender said, how much money do you make? What do you think your credit score is? How much money do you have in the bank? Okay, you should be able to buy about this much, and they send a letter, and that letter means absolutely nothing. If you are a buyer and you submit an offer with a pre-qualification letter, and the listing agent has any idea what they're doing, they're gonna say, why hasn't your buyer got approved? Why aren't they serious? What is the huge massive red flag? So the pre-qualification, the short version of this is if you can fog a mirror, you can get a pre-qualification. Okay, so that's number one. Now, number 2 is we're gonna move on to what has always been the gold standard in the pre-approval world, and this is the pre-approval. So the biggest misconception here is that you're approved once you have a pre-approval, and why wouldn't you? You've filled out a loan application, you might have given the lender a few documents, but you're really not approved, and really you're not even close to approved. Now, it does depend on the lender because some will do more with the pre-approval than others, but most of the time, this is what I would say 95% of lenders will do, is they'll say, fill out this loan application, send me a bank statement or a pay stub, and maybe tax returns, but usually not. And then they'll say, okay, great. Based on me looking at this for a few minutes, you should be able to purchase for this much. Here's a pre-approval letter. Go shopping, submit offers. Once you get your offer accepted, let me know, and then I will start doing my job. And this is what has been the gold standard for a very, very long time, and for good reason, because there's a tremendous amount of work between number 2, which is the pre-approval, and the last one, which is the most powerful, which is the fully underwritten approval letter. So the pre-approval is the gold standard, but this is the lender doing the bare minimum to give you a pre-approval so that you can go shopping. Once you get into contract, then they will start the underwriting process. Now, this is where the third type of approval, the fully underwritten approval letter, blows everything else out of the water, and it's not even close. So what this means is the buyer has filled out a full loan application. They've provided the lender with all of the supporting documents as well too. So pay stubs, bank statements, everything that the lender actually needs. They've gathered your entire package together and they have sent it off to the underwriter. Little known fact is that the lender that you are talking to is not the person that has any say whatsoever on whether or not you get approved. They package up your loan package and they send it to an underwriter, usually in another state, depending on the bank you're working with. And then that underwriter will go through everything and say, hey, this looks okay, but I've got these other questions. And then the lender will come back to you and they'll say, hey, I need some more stuff. Once you get that package finalized, you send it back over to underwriting. And then the underwriter will say, yes, you're conditionally approved. This is a fully underwritten approval letter. Now, lenders that will do this up front have the resources to do so and are willing to actually invest their money and time with their employees to underwrite files up front. The reason 95% of lenders don't do this is because they don't want to staff any of these employees, or maybe they're brokers and they don't have any of these. They don't even do this. They send it off to the actual lender themselves once you're under contract. So there's a huge expense for the lender to fully underwrite a file up front, which is why so few do it. Also, the lender has no guarantee that you're actually going to even use them or if you ever buy a property. So they're going to be incurring cost unknowingly if you're actually going to close a loan with them or not. Kind of how we feel as real estate agents. So I'm not super remorseful there because this is going to put you in the best position possible as the buyer. And if you're selling your property, you want your buyer on their property to be fully underwritten. Now, what happens here is once you have a fully underwritten approval letter, you can compete with cash offers. Here's what I mean. A fully underwritten approval letter is likely to be able to close somewhere between 10 and 15 days. Whereas a pre-approved or even a pre-qualified loan is going to take maybe 25 of the fastest, but more like 30 to maybe 40 days to close a pre-qualified or pre-approved loan. So your timelines can be much faster on closing. Now, it's not just closing, it's also certainty to the seller. So let me explain that. So when you are writing an offer, you're going to have a loan contingency most of the time. And a pre-qualification, they're going to need a really long loan contingency because you haven't even started the process. On a pre-approval, you've at least started the process, but it's still going to be a long loan contingency timeline. Now, with a fully underwritten approval, oftentimes you don't even need a loan contingency. So if you're comparing two different offers, one of them is fully underwritten, can close in 15 days, and has no loan contingency whatsoever, versus a pre-qualified buyer who needs 40 days to close and 20 days to find out if they're even approved. This buyer is closed before this buyer even knows if they're approved. And this is what gives so many buyers purchasing power over buyers that just choose to, maybe they don't have the advice or maybe they choose not to follow it, the best possible way to write the best offers. Now, if you're on the listing side and you're selling your property, you want to make sure that your listing agent is doing everything they need to do to make sure the buyers are doing everything they need to do. I hope that made sense. So anyway, I wanted to make this a quick video, very direct and to the point. There's three types of approval letters that matters to both buyers and sellers. And if you feel like if you didn't know about this and you're working with an agent that's not an Onyx Homes agent, highly recommend reaching out. A couple different ways you can do it, but the easiest one on this topic, I would go to our website, onyxhomes.com, click on the finance button, so onyxhomes.com/finance. There's a mortgage calculator in there. You can play around with all that. And then if you want to talk about your different loan options with rate and playing around with your mortgage payment, you can fill out the form and a mortgage pro is going to reach out to you and they will talk about a total cost analysis that will give you all of the different options on your rate, as opposed to just giving you the one rate that maybe they want you to pick or they don't want to give you options for whatever reason. So if you want to do that, go to onyxhomes.com/finance or click the finance button on our homepage and you can fill out the form to get that, play with the mortgage calculator, talk to a mortgage pro. My name is Christian Stubbs. I hope you found this valuable. I will see you in the next video.